Fraud or deception has been around since the start of time, whether it be for financial gain, political power, territory gain, religious belief, or personal gain. Financial fraud is a white-collar crime that affects the general public and has a negative impact on the whole economy. Often, these frauds involve misuse or manipulation of public funds by fraudsters to make huge profits for themselves. With the advancement of space and technology, cases of financial fraud are on the rise. In this video, we're going to discuss the top 10 biggest frauds in financial history. The video is going to be amazing, so make sure you stick to the end. But before starting the video, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to never miss out on any of our videos. Number 10. Charles Ponzi Scam. The term Ponzi Scheme is named after Charles Ponzi's famous pyramid scheme. In this type of fraud, the clients are promised huge profits with little to no risk. Once the flow of money by way of investments from new clients stops, the whole scheme falls apart. Ponzi infamously promised returns of 50% in 45 days, which were actually paid with by funds from new investors. The scheme eventually failed in 1920, leaving 5 banks and all investors ruined, the latter of which were able to only recoup 30% of their initial investment. Charles Ponzi made $20 million through his pyramid scheme, equal to $222 million in 2011. Number 9. The Harshad Mehta Scam. The famous stockbroker of the late 1980s and early 1990s, Harshad Mehta became the buzz in 2020 after the release of the web series Scam 1992, The Harshad Mehta Story. After figuring out a loophole in the governmental norms, he got involved in multiple scams like the bank receipts and stamp paper scam and the Ready Forward Deal scam. Harshad Mehta, the big bull, was quite a personality. He managed to take a huge amount of loans from various banks and put them up in the stock market. Then, through fictitious practice, he would raise the stock price of the specific company he was investing in. He was arrested in 1992 and kept in custody for 5 years for the fraud. It is one of the most popular and biggest scams in the history of India. Number 8. McKesson and Robbins Scandal. Today, McKesson Corporation is one of the largest healthcare companies in the world. But in 1938, when it was still McKesson and Robbins, it was at the heart of one of the biggest frauds of the century. A career criminal named Philip Musica, who during Prohibition used a pharmaceutical company as a front for bootlegging operations, bought the drug company and quickly enlisted his brothers to set up fictitious partner companies. They inflated assets to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars in today's money and skimmed millions, which they then distributed to themselves via fake partner companies in a scam that changed America's accounting and auditing laws. Number 7. IPL Scam. Never before has a scam been enjoyed and celebrated by such a massive proportion of Indian people. A lot of the IPL activity has been alleged to be unethical, unlawful, and sometimes illegal. Politicians and others are said to be laundering black money via Mauritius and other tax havens, which hide investors' identities through shell companies and false names. There are suggestions that matches and bids for team franchises have been fixed, and that there have been bribes, tax evasion, illegal betting, and breaches of foreign investment rules. At the center of the growth and the controversy was Lalit Modi, creator and chairman of the IPL and former vice president of the highly politicized Board of Control for Cricket in India, or BCCI. Number 6. Francois and Joseph Blanc Scam. It may surprise you to know that the first telecommunications fraud took place in France in 1837, almost 50 years prior to the patent of Alexander Graham Bell's remarkable telephone. Brothers Francois and Joseph Blanc were traders in the Bordeaux Stock Exchange of the 1830s. They primarily traded in government bonds, valuations of which were heavily influenced by goings-on in the capital Paris, 600 kilometers to the north. Francois and Joseph discovered a way to hack this network, bribing a signaler to send secret messages about stock market changes in Paris. Despite profiting from what many would argue was fraudulently obtained information, the brothers actually escaped prison due to the absence of a law in France forbidding this type of crime. The story of the Block brothers reveals how fraudsters are constantly seeking new ways to gain access illicit financial gain. Number 5. Kazutsugi Nami Scam. The chairman of the Tokyo-based betting and linen company L&G was sentenced to 18 years in prison on March 18, 2010 for what many believe to be the biggest investment scam in Japan's history. Whereas the vast majority of financial scams on this scale target investment funds and the wealthy, Nami's preyed instead on the everyman, as he defrauded some 37,000 people of $1.4 billion. The businessman assured interested parties that the currency would gain its value once the world's economy collapsed, what's more, guaranteeing them a 36% annual return. Investors quickly grew frustrated. However, when Nami began to pay dividends in N10, and in November 2007, the company declared bankruptcy. Number 4. James Paul Lewis Jr. Scam. Money scams often involve misrepresenting the facts, but James Paul Lewis Jr. took it a step further. Lewis operated the Orange County-based financial advisory consultants and promised investors yearly returns of 18 to 40%, according to a 2005 release from the U.S. Department of Justice. Although he told investors that he would use the money to purchase and sell distressed businesses, make commercial loans, lease medical equipment, and finance insurance premiums, Lewis had other plans for the money. According to the DOJ release, Lewis used the approximately $300 million to enrich himself and others. He reportedly bought homes and luxury cars, invested in other companies with investors' money, and used FAC funds to trade currency futures. No one managed to spot the investment scam for 7 years. In 2005, Lewis pled guilty to mail fraud and money laundering. Number 3. Oscar Hartzell Scam. Hartzell was behind one of the most enterprising frauds, referred to as the Sir Francis Drake estate fraud. The scam targeted people with the surname Drake. Ironically, he developed the idea from another scammer who attempted it on him. The scam was based around the estate of Sir Francis Drake, which was supposedly never paid out and was in the hands of the British government. Hartzell began searching for people with the surname Drake in Iowa in 1919, informing them as distant relatives they potentially had a claim to Sir Drake's estate. He was allegedly preparing a lawsuit to force the British government to release the estate. He was asking for investment, where he promised returns of 500 to 1. Hartzell moved to London to live in luxury in 1924 and hired salespeople to continue to get funds from other Drakes across the United States. He was eventually arrested and convicted of fraud in 1934. Number 2. Wachovia Bank. The United Nations estimates that up to 800 billion US dollars or $2 trillion US dollars is laundered annually, between 2 to 5% of GDP. That figure puts the estimated 380 billion US dollars of Wachovia money laundering case into perspective. It was and remains the largest money laundering case in history. The discovery of this eye-watering figure actually traces back to the seizure of a Mexican drug cartel shipment in 2006. Mexican soldiers captured a plane carrying 100 million US dollars haul of cocaine. But it was the paper trail of the vehicle itself which unraveled this multi-billion-dollar money laundering chain. Tracing the ownership of the plane revealed a network of money laundering transactions stretching over years through Wachovia accounts. Analysis by the authorities indicated that 378.4 billion US dollars of funds, equivalent to 1/3 of Mexican GDP, had been transferred through Wachovia accounts without proper anti-money laundering due diligence applied. A court case eventually led to Wachovia paying 100 million US dollars in forfeiture to the US government and an accompanying $50 million fine for failing to monitor cash transfers. The bank was later acquired by Wells Fargo during the 2008 financial crisis. Number 1. Colgate Scam. The coal allocation scam, or Colgate, is a political scandal that surfaced in 2012 when the UPA government was in power. The scam was brought to notice by the Comptroller and Auditor General, or CAG, when they accused the government of illegally allocating 194 coal blocks in between 2004 and 2009. This was one of the scams that shook the whole nation from its core, as many bureaucrats and politicians were involved in this. Although the CAG initially estimated the loss of over Rs 10 lakh crore, the final report mentioned that the scam amount was Rs 1.86 lakh crore. Let us know your opinion in the comments section below. This was all for today. Hope you liked the video. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay safe and we will be back soon with another video.